everybody for another deep dive.
Yeah.
This time we're going exploring the life and work of Congolese artist Hilarion N'Dinga.
Oh, very interesting.
But, and here's the twist, we're going to be looking at it through this article written by his grandson,
Okay.
who's also an artist and uses his grandfather's name, like the exact same name as like his artist name.
Wow.
So it's like a double mammy of artistic legacy here.
Yeah, it's really cool how we're seeing this kind of connection through generations.
Yeah, and I mean, it's get a bold move to use the same name.
Right.
So I'm really interested to see how that all plays out. But
Yeah.
to start, let's go back to the beginning with the grandfather.
Okay.
Hilarion N'Dinga was born in 1932 in Brazzaville, Congo,
All right.
specifically in this district called Poto.
Poto.
Yeah. And that area, even way back then, was like a huge cultural hub.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you know much about that?
Yeah. I mean, it was key for shaping Congolese art. Like this whole Poto school of painting came from there, you know.
Oh.
Really known for vibrant colors, bold compositions, and they really focused on like showing daily Congolese life.
So like real scenes.
Exactly. Like the heart of modern Congolese art coming from this district.
And it's actually right there in Poto when Hilarion N'Dinga is just 12 years old.
Wow. 12.
That he has his artistic awakening. Like he saw another artist, 𝐍'𝐃𝐢𝐧𝐠,
Right.
who was painting this piece called The Washerwoman. And
Oh, cool.
that was it. He was like, I need to do this.
That's amazing.
Wonder if Demoko knew that he was like sparking this future legend.
Right. Like that moment of inspiration.
Yeah, but it's not an overnight thing. Like he doesn't just become an artist from that moment.
Right.
He actually goes and gets a normal job at a bank
Oh, wow.
for a while before he decides to go all in on the art thing.
Quite a change.
I know, leaving a bank job for art,
It's a big leap.
it's a big leap of faith.
Yeah.
What pushed him over the edge, I wonder?
Well, the article doesn't get into specifics, but it does say that he trained under Hilarion N'Dinga.
Okay, and then he went on to the Poto Art Center, studying under Pierre Lodz.
So he's like surrounding himself with art.
Yeah, immersing himself. Like that art center was a big deal, like a central hub for the whole Poto style.
So really doubling down.
Yeah, fully committed.
Now, the article also mentioned this thing about Marxist-Leninist artistic doctrine,
Yes, right?
which seems very specific.
It was a big influence in Congo at the time, like this whole idea of social realism in art.
Oh, okay.
And that art should serve, the working class.
Yeah.
And N'Dinga was into it at first, during his training.
Okay.
But then he kind of moved away from it.
Oh, interesting.
He wanted to, like, express his own vision.
So even within this, like, ideological art world, he's still forging his own path.
Yeah, like a real independent artist.
Yeah.
Not confined by any one way of thinking.
Where did that take him, that path?
It took him to success, quickly.
Right.
He was holding exhibitions across Africa.
Really?
Lomé, Abidjan, Accra, Lagos.
Wow, he's moved. And each one, just got more and more recognition.
That's awesome.
Like he became a major figure in African art, but he always stayed connected to his roots.
Oh, that's great.
Like the article really emphasized that even with this growing success, he never forgot where he came from.
Yeah, that connection to the community. That's so important.
It is, especially with that level of success, staying grounded.
Yeah, and now the story shifts a little bit, and we get into the grandson's perspective.
Okay, cool.
And he talks about these vivid childhood memories of watching his grandfather paint.
Like he was right there in the studio.
Yeah, just absorbing the whole process.
Just like osmosis,
Totally, just soaking it all in, even if he didn't know he'd become an artist later.
Right, but that kind of exposure early on, it must have had a huge impact.
I can only imagine it wasn't just seeing the painting, but the passion behind it, too.
Yeah, that dedication firsthand.
And he didn't start as an artist, the grandson.
Okay.
But then, boom, COVID hits.
Oh.
And I guess all that stillness kind of forced him to look inward.
Uh-huh.
And that's when he reconnected with the art.
Interesting.
He dives into his grandfather's work, his writings.
Wow.
And that's where we see his own project come to life. Art is life.
Art is life.
Yeah. So he made art, like a piece of art, every day for a year.
365 pieces.
365 pieces. That's dedication.
That's intense.
And then here's the other twist.
Okay.
He shares it all through NFTs.
NFTs, wow. So different from the galleries his grandfather was in.
Right, like a totally different scene.
It really shows how the art world is changing,
Yeah, how technology is like reshaping it all.
Yeah, NFTs, virtual galleries, it's all about reaching people in new ways.
And it makes you think, this all came about because of the pandemic.
It's kind of wild how limitations can spark new ideas.
Totally, but his story is not just about his own art.
No.
It's also about sharing his grandfather's legacy.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and in the article, he mentions this really sad detail, how his grandfather dreamed of having this huge Jubilee celebration.
A jubilee?
Yeah, to like celebrate his life's work. But he never got to do it.
That's heartbreaking.
I know, but get this. The grandson finds all this stuff in his grandfather's belongings.
What kind of stuff?
Like all this unpublished work, poems, essays, even unfinished pieces.
Wow, a hidden treasure.
Yeah, like we're getting a glimpse into his mind.
Like a whole other side of him.
And there's this one poem in particular that stood out to me. It's called Matière et Esprit.
Matière et esprit. What does that mean?
Matter and spirit. And there's this excerpt that I feel like sums up his whole philosophy.
Can you read that excerpt?
Yeah, of course. So it goes,
Yeah.
Matière et esprit. Tous nos biens sont des choses étrangères. Ce qui nous appartient est notre esprit. Oui, le primat de la pensée sur la matière. La vie n'a pas de prix. La culture n'a pas de prix. La vérité n'a pas de prix. La beauté n'a pas de prix.
That's powerful, talking about how real wealth isn't about like material things.
Right. What's in your mind, your spirit?
And it kind of reflects both their choices, choosing art over money.
Totally. Like prioritizing expression over, just getting rich.
And it hits even harder coming from an artist in Congo.
Right. A place with so much vibrancy, but also struggles.
Yeah, it makes you think about art as a form of resistance.
Like reclaiming your power in a world that's obsessed with material success.
And that tension between the material world and the world of ideas.
That's what artists grapple with all the time.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, how did that play out in his actual artwork?
Right. What can we learn from his style, his choices?
That is a great question, and one I'm definitely thinking about as we dive further into this story.
It's already so clear this isn't just about two artists. It's about family, legacy, how art can connect across generations.
Absolutely, and we're just getting started.
There's so much more to unpack here, like how the grandson's trying to keep his grandfather's memory alive.
And how he's going to make that jubilee happen.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing to see. That jubilee, trying to make his grandfather's dream happen.
Yeah.
That's got to be a powerful thing for him.
It really shows how much he respects his grandfather's work.
Totally. And not just respecting it, but wanting to, share it with everyone.
Right, to carry the torch.
And it makes me wonder, what did that work actually look like? The grandfather's art,
Yeah, we know about the Poto school.
Right, but did he stick to that, or did he, branch out, experiment?
Well, the article doesn't give too many details about his specific style.
Okay.
But we can kind of look at the broader Poto movement to get some ideas.
Yeah, what were the common threads?
So they often showed scenes from daily life,
Like markets and stuff.
Exactly, rituals, everyday things, but they weren't just copying what they saw.
So there was still artistry to it.
Oh yeah, they used these really vibrant colors, almost like sculptural forms.
So taking the ordinary and making it, extraordinary.
Exactly, and I think that connects back to the poem,
Matière et esprit.
Yeah, that emphasis on spirit. Maybe he was using those bold colors, those forms, to show the essence of his subjects.
Not just what they looked like, but what they felt like.
Yeah, like painting the soul of Congo.
And speaking of souls, the grandson's project, art is life.
Right.
It's kind of doing something similar, capturing emotions through art.
But with NFTs, a whole different approach than his grandfather.
Totally. So is he breaking from tradition, or
It's interesting.
is he, continuing his grandfather's independent spirit?
Could be both,
By using this new technology, he's finding his own way.
Just like Hilarion N'Dinga moved away from those strict art doctrines.
Wow. Yeah, it's like a generational echo.
Yeah, this urge to innovate, push boundaries.
But it also makes you think, how does tech change art itself?
Does using NFTs change how the grandson creates?
Right.
Maybe, NFTs bring in this idea of scarcity ownership in the digital world.
Which is so different from traditional art.
Right. It makes artists think about the value of their work in a new way.
And how long it'll last.
Yeah, and it could open up new ways to make money, connect with collectors.
Especially for artists who aren't in the, fancy gallery world.
But there's also all this debate around NFTs.
Yeah, the environmental impact.
The accessibility issue.
And, what even counts as art in this digital space?
Right, it's complicated.
But, that's what the grandson's doing, navigating this whole new world.
Just like his grandfather did back in his day.
And going back to the name, using his grandfather's name.
Yeah.
It's more than just a tribute.
It's like he's placing himself in this lineage.
Yeah, this chain of Congolese artists.
And reminding us that art doesn't exist in a vacuum.
Right, it's influenced by history, by culture, by family.
And in this case, a very direct family connection.
It's like the name itself becomes a source of inspiration.
Like carrying the weight of that legacy.
And I wonder what that legacy means to him personally.
Good question.
What's he trying to do by sharing his grandfather's story with the world?
Maybe it's about making sure his grandfather's art is remembered. Yeah, or inspiring other young artists, especially in Congo.
To connect with their heritage, their own creativity.
Right, to see what's possible.
And he's not just inspiring, he's actively preserving his grandfather's legacy.
With Art is Life, but also by working to publish his memoirs.
It's like he's an archivist, a storyteller, too.
It goes beyond just creating it. It's about protecting a whole cultural history.
Yeah, making sure these stories don't disappear.
I'm really curious about those memoirs, what they'll reveal about the Congolese art scene.
Especially during those post-colonial years.
And about Hilarion N'Dinga's own life, you know?
What he went through, what drove him.
It's like getting a behind-the-scenes look at the artist.
Yeah, understanding the person behind the brushstrokes.
It reminds us that every artist has a story.
A whole context that shapes their work.
And when we understand that context, we can appreciate their art even more.
And then there's that jubilee, the celebration.
The dream.
We've mentioned it a few times, but like, how's he going to make it happen?
Yeah, what will it actually look like?
Who will be there? What impact does he want it to have?
The article doesn't say. It's kind of a mystery.
Oh, okay.
Maybe a traditional exhibition, maybe something totally different.
Maybe he'll use tech, like virtual reality.
To bring people into his grandfather's world.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Just like we're waiting for the next chapter.
Yeah, a continuation of the story.
And it reminds us that legacies aren't fixed, they change and grow.
And the grandson's playing a big role in that,
Yeah.
shaping how we remember his grandfather.
But he's not just focused on the past.
No, he's making his own art too.
Exploring identity, emotions.
With Art is Life and those NFTs.
It's beautiful how legacies inspire new creation.
Like the past fuels the future.
It's a cycle, isn't it?
Hilarion N'Dinga sparked something in his grandson.
Leading him on his own journey.
And now the grandson's shining a light back on his grandfather.
Showing how art connects us across time.
And I think this brings up a really important point.
Okay.
Why should we, the listeners, care about this story?
Why these two Congolese artists, linked by a name and a passion?
What does it mean for us?
It's a reminder that legacies aren't just for famous people.
Right? Everyone has a story.
Everyone leaves a mark on the world.
It's about seeing how connected we all are.
How our actions affect others.
Sometimes in ways we don't even realize.
Exactly. And it makes us think about our own legacies.
What will we pass on?
What will we leave behind?
And the power of family.
Not just for support, but for inspiration.
For keeping those stories alive.
And, of course, the power of art.
It lets us express ourselves, explore big ideas.
Connect with something bigger.
And the grandson, using NFTs, virtual galleries.
Shows how art keeps adapting.
Finding new ways to reach people.
It's a reminder that art is alive. It changes with the world.
And that's what makes this story so interesting.
It's not just about the past, it's about now and the future.
And how we choose to interact with the legacies around us.
And speaking of interacting, the grandson's online, sharing his work.
On Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, even TikTok.
It's a great way to see his art, learn more about his journey.
And we'll make sure to include links in the show notes.
So you can easily find and follow him.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
Hilarion N'Dinga's dream of that jubilee.
The one he never got to have.
It's a reminder that our time is precious.
To chase our dreams, make them happen.
What are your aspirations? What do you want to achieve?
What will your legacy be?
It's a call to action, to seize the moment.
Don't let your dreams fade away.
And the grandson, fulfilling his grandfather's vision,
It's so tough.
shows the power of family love.
How those bonds inspire us.
To carry on those dreams, even after someone's gone.
The impact we have on others can last even after we're gone.
What a beautiful thought to end on. You know, it's kind of amazing how we started with just this one article about an artist,
Yeah.
but we've ended up talking about all these bigger things.
Right. Legacy, tech, family,
The whole art world changing.
Hilarion N'Dinga's story, and what his grandson's doing.
It really touches on so much.
Yeah, it's all connected.
It makes you think about art differently.
Not just like something pretty to look at.
But like a reflection of us, you know,
Our history, our hopes.
where we come from.
Exactly. And how we connect across generations, past to present to future.
And going back to that poem,
𝐍'𝐃𝐢𝐧𝐠.
both of them, the grandfather and the grandson,
Yeah.
they really lived that idea of primacy of thought over matter
Choosing art over money.
every time.
It's like what's really important in life.
Yeah, and I wonder, is that like a Congolese art thing?
That's a good question.
This focus on creativity, expression, over just getting rich,
It would be interesting to look at how Congolese arts changed over time.
especially with colonialism and everything.
How those events shaped what artists made, how they made it.
It's like art is a window into their world.
Yeah, a way to understand their experiences.
And that connection, it can be so powerful, you know?
Totally. It helps us see things from someone else's point of view.
And feel empathy, understand each other better.
Exactly, that shared humanity.
And it makes me think about the grandson and those NFTs again.
Yeah.
It's so modern, so techy.
But it's also like continuing this tradition of Congolese art, adapting.
Finding new ways to reach people.
He's taking it even further, making art accessible to anyone online.
So different from those exclusive galleries.
It makes you wonder, what's next for art?
Will we all be in virtual galleries?
Will NFTs change everything?
Who knows? But the grandson story makes us think about it.
Yeah, those are big questions.
It reminds us that art isn't just a thing, it's a force.
It starts conversations, challenges how we see the world,
Makes us think differently.
and I hope our listeners are feeling that.
Curious to learn more about Congolese art.
To check out Hilarion N'Dinga's work and his grandsons.
And maybe even inspired to create something themselves.
Tell their own stories.
Think about the legacy they'll leave behind.
Beautifully said.
And that brings us to the end of this deep dive.
Make sure to check out the show notes for those links.
So you can see the grandson's art online.
And learn more about his journey.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning.
And keep diving deep.
All in life intertwined in the beat. Feel it in your soul, every pulse, every heartbeat. Creativity flows, breaks through the strife. Keep it moving, cause art is life. Found my voice, getting dreams from the start. Expressions unleashed, canvas my heart. Blending strokes to pixels, future and past. Art's eternal, long as our passions last. Rapping with them, look to do the dance with me. Telling stories, making bonds.